The Greatest Generation, 1901 to 1927. You are 7 years old and your mother hands you a potato, not for dinner, to hold, because it is the only one left, and tomorrow you will plant it in the dirt. The Great Depression did not just take jobs or savings. It took the assumption that effort equals reward. You watched your father, a man who had worked every day, stand in bread lines. You learned something no child should learn. The world breaks people, good people, hard-working people. And then at 18, the world handed you a rifle. Normandy, the Pacific. Some never came home. Some came home different. Those who stayed behind worked factory shifts so long they forgot daylight. This created a generation with no illusions. You did not expect fairness. You did not need praise. You did not discuss trauma because what would that accomplish? You survived, moved forward. You built suburbs, corporations, families, not because you were happy, because that is what you did. You endured. This generation taught everyone after them something crucial. Comfort is not a luxury. And sometimes the most radical thing you can do is refuse to quit. The Silent Generation, 1928 to 1945. You grew up in the shadow of everything. Depression was your childhood soundtrack. Parents whispering about money, the radio announcing bank failures, siblings leaving to find work that did not exist. Then the war. Not your war, your brother's war. Too young to fight, but old enough to feel the absence. Empty chairs at dinner. Telegrams that destroyed families. You learned the world operated on rules you could not change. Keep quiet. Do not complain. The people who made noise got hurt. Then McCarthy came with his lists. Questioning authority was dangerous. You had already learned that. This generation's power was invisibility. They did not protest or rebel. They showed up. They did the work. They followed rules. They were middle managers, skilled workers, the dependable ones who never caused problems. They had learned something crucial. Sometimes survival means making yourself small. Sometimes the smartest move is becoming essential without becoming visible. Baby boomers, from 1946 to 1964. You were born into optimism, real optimism, not the manufactured kind. Your parents had survived hell and come out the other side. The Depression was over. The war was won. America was the most powerful nation on earth, and the future was so bright it hurt to look at directly. Suburbs sprawled across farmland. Televisions appeared in living rooms. New cars in every driveway. For the first time in a generation, parents could look at their children and promise them something better. And you believed them. Why would you not? Everything around you confirmed it. But then something strange happened. You started seeing cracks. You practiced hiding under your desk in case of nuclear war, and even as a kid, you knew that desk would not save you from anything. You watched the president get shot on television, then another leader, then another. 3 assassinations in 5 years. The adults kept saying everything was fine, but you could see it was not. And then came Vietnam. Your older brothers got drafted. Some came back different, some did not come back. And every night the war played on television while the government insisted we were winning. You watched them lie, not suspect they were lying. Watched them lie. On camera, repeatedly. This created a psychological rupture that defined your generation. You were raised to trust authority, and then authority betrayed you. Publicly, repeatedly, undeniably. So you did what made sense. You protested, you questioned, you demanded change. And here is the complicated part. You won some of those fights. Civil rights, women's rights, environmental protection. You forced America to confront things it wanted to ignore. But then you grew up. You got jobs. You started families. And the system you fought against, you ended up running it. The hippies became executives. The radicals became politicians. The generation that said never trust anyone over 30 is now in their 70s and still refusing to retire. This is not hypocrisy exactly. It is something more interesting. You learned early that change comes from within the system, not outside it. That idealism without power is just noise. So you took the power. And whether that was a betrayal of your values or a fulfillment of them depends on who you ask. Generation Jones, from 1954 to 1965. You're the generation nobody talks about. Too young to be a boomer. Too old to be Generation X. You watched Woodstock on TV at 14. Promised revolution, but arrived too late. Your older siblings got the 60s. You got the hangover. You came of age during Watergate, watching a president resign. During the oil crisis, sitting in gas lines. During stagflation, when everything cost more but nobody had jobs. Boomers ahead of you bought affordable houses, got pensions, locked in careers when loyalty mattered. By the time you graduated, all of that was disappearing. Nobody seemed to notice. This created perpetual aspiration. You were raised on the same promises as boomers, but when you reached for them, they were not there. So you adapted, stopped waiting for permission, created your own path. You became the bridge. Not idealistic enough to be boomers, not cynical enough to be Generation X. Just realistic enough to see the world as it is and make the best of it. You learned that promises mean nothing. Only results matter. And if you want results, you make them yourself. Generation X, from 1965 to 1980. You came home to an empty house every day. The key was around your neck, or under the mat, or in your backpack. You let yourself in, made a snack, did or did not do your homework, and for 3 or 4 hours you were completely unsupervised. Not because your parents did not care, but because they were working, both of them. The single-income household your grandparents knew was already extinct. This was not neglect. This was economic necessity. But it shaped you in ways that are only now becoming clear. You learned self-reliance because you had no choice. If you were bored, you figured it out. If you were scared, you handled it. If something broke, you fixed it or learned to live without it. There was no one to call, no one to rescue you. Just you and the afternoon and whatever you could make of it. On weekends, you disappeared. You left the house on your bike at 9 in the morning and came back when the streetlights came on. No cell phone, no GPS, no checking in. Your parents had no idea where you were, and that was normal. You built forts in abandoned lots. You explored storm drains. You jumped bikes off ramps that absolutely should have killed you. And when you got hurt, you walked it off. This created adults with an unusual relationship to risk. You understand that danger and harm are different things, that you can survive more than you think, that competence comes from trial and error, not instruction. But the freedom came with a cost. You watched your parents' generation get destroyed by corporate America. Layoffs, downsizing, restructuring. Your father worked for the same company for 20 years, and they let him go with 2 weeks' notice. Your mother stayed loyal and got rewarded with a pension that disappeared when the company declared bankruptcy. You learned the lesson. Loyalty is a one-way street. The company will not take care of you. The government will not protect you. The only person you can count on is yourself. This is not cynicism. It is realism purchased with observation. You watched what happened to people who trusted the system, so you did not. You kept your skills updated. You kept your resume ready. You worked hard, but you never confused hard work with security because you had seen that hard work means nothing when the spreadsheet says your department needs to shrink by 15%. Some people call Generation X apathetic. But apathy is not the right word. You care deeply about things. You just do not care about the things you are supposed to care about. You do not believe in institutional loyalty because institutions already proved they are not loyal back. You do not believe in the American dream because you watched it fail your parents. You do not believe in working your way to the top because you have seen the top eliminate the middle to save money. What you believe in is yourself, your skills, your ability to adapt, your capacity to survive whatever comes next. Because you have been surviving on your own since you were 8 years old, with a key around your neck and an empty house waiting. The greatest generation learned endurance. The silent generation learned invisibility. Baby boomers learned that idealism without power is meaningless. Generation Jones learned that promises are just words. Generation X learned that the only security is the security you build yourself. Together, they form a progression. Each generation responded to what the previous one could not solve. Each one adapted to a world that kept changing the rules, and each one passed down lessons, whether they meant to or not, about what you can count on, about what you cannot, about what it takes to survive when the world does not care whether you make it or not.